Hello, and thanks for tuning in to Infinity News. I'm your host, Luke.
And I'm your other host, Patti.
In today's top stories, the Director General of the World Health Organization has warned governments that the continued international spread of the novel coronavirus is not a drill and will require significant action if public health authorities are to contain the deadly outbreak.
The call to action comes as the global number of people infected by the virus nears 100,000, a grim milestone that now appears inevitable with self-sustaining clusters continuing to expand in South Korea, Japan, parts of Europe, Iran, and the United States.
The virus has spread to more than 80 countries and territories since it was first identified in the Chinese city of Wuhan in December last year. Health experts have suggested that newly emerging clusters in Europe and the Middle East could accelerate the global spread of the disease.
As the number of cases and deaths from novel coronavirus increase across the United States, federal health officials are working to expand testing for the fast-moving outbreak.
Still, Vice President Mike Pence, who is leading the administration's response to the outbreak, acknowledged Thursday there was a shortfall in the number of testing kits required to meet demand.
By Thursday afternoon, there were at least 228 cases of the novel coronavirus in the United States, with 70 in Washington state alone, according to U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, as well as the state and local governments.
The hardest hit area has been the city of Kirkland in Washington state, where the virus infected several people in a nursing home. 13 of the 14 people killed by the virus in the U.S. were in Washington.
For our beloved viewers' well-being, we would like to present this small presentation regarding basic protective measures against the new coronavirus by the World Health Organization.
There are several measures you can adopt to protect yourself and others from getting the new coronavirus. Frequently clean your hands by using an alcohol-based hand rub product like a gel, or wash your hands with soap and water. When coughing and sneezing, cover your mouth and nose with flexed elbow like this, or use a tissue. If you use a tissue, discard it immediately into a closed bin. Avoid close contact with anyone that has fever and cough. And if you have fever, cough, and difficulty breathing, seek medical care early and share information about any recent travels with your healthcare provider. If you just have mild respiratory symptoms and no specific travel history, carefully follow the precautions I just explained and make sure you stay home until recovery. If you need more information on how to protect yourself from the new coronavirus, check the WHO website at who.int.
Over in Brazil, 32 people have passed away since Sunday as heavy rains have swamped the states of Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro, with more rain predicted and mudslides possible, authorities said Thursday.
Dozens are still unaccounted for, and more than 5,000 have been displaced, according to Sao Paulo Civil Defense Authority and the governor of Rio de Janeiro. Brazil has been suffering from unusually heavy rains this year. February was the rainiest month for Sao Paulo since record-keeping began 77 years ago, according to the National Meteorological Institute.
And authorities warn that relief is not coming soon. After 72 hours of continuous rainfall, even more rain is expected, and authorities are asking communities to remain on high alert for possible mudslides.
In Guarujá alone, 17 people were killed, including a firefighter in the rescue mission. About 200 people lost their homes, the Sao Paulo Civil Defense added.
According to the State Secretary for Social Development and Human Rights, it was announced that a relief fund will be created for those affected by the floods.
The amount of rainfall across Rio de Janeiro Monday morning was equivalent to more than half the average for March, as the city's operational defense describes. In Santa Cruz, it rained 6 inches in 32 hours, just less than the average for the entire month.
Humanitarian aid has been delivered to the Baixada Santista region, with mattresses, blankets, food, and clean water being distributed to residents.
Stay tuned as we invite members of the Civil Liberties and Public Policy student group to speak with us on the 34th annual conference held on April 3rd through 5th.
See you after this short break.
Hello and welcome back. We are here with CLIP members, and today we are going to be discussing the CLIP conference. It is the 34th annual conference, if I'm correct, right? Would you guys introducing yourself and explaining what CLIP is?
I'm Sarah. I've worked with the CLIP. I've worked in the CLIP office for all 4 years that I've been at Hampshire College, and I'm currently one of the student group co-coordinators. So in the fall, the student group meets and just has like discussions, dialogue, trainings, and just meets to talk about like reproductive justice issues. Which reproductive justice is a bit different than reproductive rights. It's a framework that was developed by a group of women of color in the 1990s or 80s. And it's the right to have a child, the right to not have a child, and the right to parent your children in safe and supportive environments. So in that way, a lot of other like justice-based frameworks intersect with it. And Aruba is a member of the CLIP student group. So
yeah, I'm Aruba, and I'm a final year student. I'm Div 3 last semester, and I'm working as the outreach chair for the CLIP conference.
Do you want to speak more about that position?
Oh, I'm supposed to basically, like in simple terms, my position is supposed to bring people to the conference. I'm helping advertise for it in different places and groups that I know or in organizations that I know of. And actually, everybody has been doing the same, all the student group members. So, it's not just me.
Do you want to talk a little about what this year, what topics are going to be discussed at the conference?
yeah, so the conference has typically over 80 workshops throughout the weekend.
Really?
So it's April 3rd through 5th. And Aruba is actually presenting at the conference this year. I don't know if you want to talk a bit about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and like Sarah talked about the kind of work that CLIP does. Basically, it's everything under reproductive justice and reproductive freedom. And I feel the work that I'm presenting is related to menstrual equity, which is what my Div 3 has been in my entire undergrad career. So I'm presenting on my work under menstrual equity and what it looks like for menstruators in Pakistan, and I will be sharing my work related to that there.
So I know like this is a question that most Div 3 students hate, but do you want to talk a little bit about like what kind of like synopsis of your Div 3, like, because it seems so interesting, your topic.
So basically it started off as a project related to menstrual hygiene management, and then I feel like during the span of these 3 years of my undergrad, I've learned and unlearned so many things related to that, and was able to narrow it all down into one project. So what I decided to do was look more into sanitation politics and what menstrual equity looks like in a different region of the world, because it was a term coined by Jennifer Weiss Wolf in the United States, and and she did some incredible work related to that, and she basically the term was associated with having an equitable access to products for menstruators across the country. But for for menstruators in the United States, that's what menstrual equity looks like, along with many other things. But for menstruators in Global South, the reality is very different. Because I did a short pilot project there, and I realized that, we can probably give them products, but at a school where there are no toilets, there's no point of us handling them any products at all. So I decided to make an argument that menstrual equity for them looks like access to toilets more urgently than access to products. And then I'm also focusing on so due to generous grant support from Hampshire, I was able to get toilets renovated and improve the school's learning conditions, so just to create a more healthy environment for students there. And then I did ethnographed parts of it and interviewed students, and I was also educating them about period sustainability,
Mhm.
like what products to use, what not to use, what's environmentally friendly and what's not environmentally friendly.
Nice, nice, really
That in a
fascinating.
nutshell.
Really fascinating stuff.
Thank
Did
you.
you have a similar Div 3?
No,
or-
well, I'm not presenting my Div 3 at the CLIP conference at all.
Mhm.
Maybe in the future
Mhm.
I'll present something at the CLIP conference,
Mhm.
but we actually have a lot of in the past year or two,
Mhm.
we've had a lot more like students presenting work
Mhm.
at the CLIP conference, which is really cool because presenters can include like executive directors of like large national reproductive rights and justice organizations, but also
Mhm.
we've had high schoolers present on like grassroots activism in their
Mhm.
communities.
Mhm.
But I'm doing my Div 3 on, I've been interviewing both pro-life and pro-choice Quakers.
Mhm.
So I'm not presenting at CLIP, but I am really excited about getting to interact with there's a couple people, I think there's at least 2 workshops that kind of have to do with like reproductive
Mhm.
justice and like faith.
Uh-huh.
So I'm excited for some of those.
Interesting. That was actually you leading to my next question, which was like, so you guys are organizing this event. Is there like any specific workshop that you guys in particularly are excited for?
Unfortunately, because I always am working during conference weekends,
Uh-huh.
I unfortunately usually don't get to attend more than one workshop a year.
Uh-huh.
So I usually choose very carefully which one.
Mhm.
Last year I went to one that was called Cultivating Spirituality. I forget the like subtitle of it, but
Mhm.
it was just a group of people of faith kind of talking about how, because oftentimes religion is kind of thought of as
Mhm.
like a barrier to
Mhm.
reproductive rights, because so many people, predominantly like white Christians,
Yeah.
are very anti-choice.
Mhm.
So it was really affirming to kind of be in that space last
Mhm.
year. And I'm Quaker, and it was actually really cool because there was one other Quaker who was there,
Mhm.
so it was fun to like have that connection.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What about you?
Oh, I am really looking forward to as many as I can attend because this is my first time ever at CLIP conference.
Really?
I've been in the school for 3 years, but this is my first time because
Uh-huh.
I've been away like most of the time previous
Mhm.
years.
Mhm.
So I'm really excited to look at as many as I can because we have a very good list of speakers.
Mhm.
The program is going to be out soon.
Yeah, the full list of workshops isn't public yet, just because they're still like organizing who's going to be going when. But it should be up within the next couple weeks. But there's a few other Hampshire College students presenting. I was actually just like looking through this morning, just because I work in the office. I was looking through the list of some of the workshops. And they vary from like topics. So there's some about like, I think there's going to be one that's like building LGBTQ community in like K through 12 environments. So in like in school environments, and then a few on like immigration rights and immigration justice. And usually there's some stuff on environmental justice. So really kind of bridging a lot of different issues.
Nice, really fascinating. Is there like a speaker that is confirmed and that you can reveal, someone who we could, really be looking forward to at the CLIP conference?
I know a lot of people come every year, so I feel like there aren't really too many surprises or anything. I mean, Loretta Ross is a really big name, but she also has taught at Hampshire before and currently teaches at Smith, and she does a lot of events. So she is kind of a big name nationally, like in the movement, but I feel like people here are pretty familiar with her. Yeah.
And so students who are interested, how can they reach out? How can they get in contact with either the CLIP members or like for the conference? Like,
yeah, well, we have the CLIP student group meets every Thursday from 5 p.m. to 6:30, and we always have food. We try and like vary it, like so it's not just pizza. It's like actually sustain food that will like sustain you. We had pupusas last night, which was great. And yeah, and we just kind of, that's where we do a lot of like the organizing. And if you're interested in that, it's in the Prescott Tavern on Thursday evenings. Or you can, if you want to be involved but aren't able to make the weekly meetings, we always need a lot of people during conference weekend we offer free childcare, people for like mental health support, and just other help throughout conference weekend. So if you go to the CLIP website, there's some emails that you can reach out to.
Nice, nice. Thank you so much for joining us. Once
Thank you.
again, the CLIP conference is on the 3rd of April till 5th April. So be sure to check it out. It's at Hampshire College. Nice.
Yeah,
Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Yay, and that's